This is Horror Sucks, the podcast where we watch terrible movies so you don't have to. And this week, we're going to tell you why them sucks. I'm Ashley Atkins, and I worked from home today.
You got to step up your game.
I
have been carrying the team with mine. I'm Carter Rhodes, and I would love it if Tito's would sponsor this podcast. We're a Tito's family here.
Sure.
And I'm going to cut that so it sounds like I was way more clever than it sounds.
Well, if I think of something later,
all right,
I'm going to make you cut it.
So, today we are watching They/Them, which is a slasher movie set in a gay conversion camp. It was directed by John Logan, and it is streaming. It was released last Friday. If I get the turnaround right, it's going to be 2 Fridays ago. Otherwise, I'll just work on the time machine and get it fixed. But
it's available on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Peacock original.
Yeah. You have to have the premium subscription. It's terrible. I wanted to just give them money so I wouldn't even have to have a subscription to Peacock. No, they demanded it.
Yeah, but you can just cancel it.
Yeah, but that's not the point. I don't want to even, have a chance at continuing to support Peacock.
What is wrong with Peacock?
I don't agree with a million streaming services. It's
okay,
stupid.
I agree with you on that.
There's nothing singularly wrong with Peacock. The problem is that, NBC is like, us too, guys!
Yeah. Yeah, but Peacock has Murder, She Wrote, which is by far the greatest show, so...
Say that to my face, and then look at Under the Dome and say that to my face a second time.
Yeah. Murder, She Wrote is the best. Murder, She Wrote
I'm not
is
going to make eye contact with you, so you
100%
can't...
better than Under the Dome.
You didn't look me in the eyes when you said that.
Yeah, because you refused to look at me.
You're just not even looking me in the eyes. So, the movie was pretty hyped, at least amongst...
Murder, She Wrote
Stop it! So, the movie was pretty hyped amongst my friend group, at least, because we were saying it's either going to be a really insightful commentary on gay conversion camps or just a 90-minute hate crime. First of all, it turns out it's an hour 40 minutes, so it's a 100-minute hate crime.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we were going to have one of my non-binary friends on here, which would have been great because they go by they, them pronouns. It would have been awesome because they also hate horror. So we would have literally been able to have an insider's perspective on LGBT and an outsider's perspective on horror. But instead, it's just Ashley and I. So this is going to be our best episode yet, I'm sure.
But yeah. So for those of you who are new here and have just come to listen to this awful, awful preview, what we'll do today is go through the plot of the movie. We'll give you some fun facts. And then we will do our favorite segment, the good, the bad, and the spooky. We'll give our rating and our final impressions. That's pretty much it. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Great. Okay, so I will give you the plot then. So the movie opens up with a woman driving down a country road listening to a gruesome audiobook, and she spins out, and as she's in her car, there's a scratch on it, and she steps on the brake to see her brake light go on, and there's a masked killer with an axe standing in the background. And then we cut to a bus rolling up to Whistler Camp, whose motto is respect, renew, and rejoice. Now, this is our conversion camp, for those of you who missed that. Oh, and there will be spoilers, because we haven't mentioned it yet.
Also, I think everyone knows, but just in case you don't, a gay conversion camp is this, summer camp-styled place where people would send their kids with the goal of them being turned straight there, either through beatings or prayer or what. I know they're illegal in the state of Massachusetts, pretty illegal nationwide, but that actually does lead to some scary things, like parents would have their kids taken across state borders to camps to states where it is legal.
Yes. So, who is the leader of this camp? None other than Owen Whistler, aka Kevin Bacon, and I will only be referring to him as Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
So, Kevin Bacon greets them with this wonderful speech how, this isn't your average conversion camp. We're a cool conversion camp. And, they just want them to love themselves and find acceptance and blah, 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 BS. So, and then they have one rule, which is treat your fellow students with care and allow them their dignity, which is questionable. So we meet our protagonist, Jordan, who goes by they, them pronouns, and, asks where they should sleep. And they both come to the conclusion that they can sleep in the men's cabin and revisit later. All is fine. They then have a group therapy session where they all basically reveal that their parents were either forced them to be there or they're just looking for acceptance.
Well, a questionable number of them went in on their own volition because they didn't want to be gay, which enough that it felt like that was the theme of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. So, and then we also meet one of our other main characters, Alexandra, who is in the girls' camp. And during the session, she mentioned that, she's just there because her parents are going to kick her out. But she wakes up super early to shower. It turns out she's trans. And while she's showering, one of the counselors, Sarah, opens the door and has like a gotcha face. And they force her to move into the men's cabin. And then we have a montage of them doing camp activities where Jordan is wearing Alexandra's dress because they told her to dress appropriately. So
yeah, they made her wear boys' clothes, and then so Jordan
took a stance and wore the dress that
cool.
she was wearing. It was great.
This montage was set to Ain't No Man, by the way, which I thought was appropriate.
Yes. So Jordan goes to therapy with Cora, who is a supposed licensed therapist, and she really knocks them down and uses their familiar background to make them feel like they're that their identity is just to feel special and that they were undervalued in their family, and that's why and
that they're just seeking attention by being gay.
Or by being they, them.
Right.
And it really tears Jordan down. So then Jordan's feeling really upset about what Cora said. They're all in the men's bunk together and hanging out, and Alexandra asks if they're okay. And then they just start singing Perfect by Pink. Mm-hmm. And it was something. That's for sure.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. The next morning, Jordan gets up really early to investigate the camp. Because at this point, they're suspicious. And they're like, where is the Bible thumping and the gay bashing? This is a conversion camp. Like, where are my stereotypical things that I'm looking for? So Jordan goes to the main office, starts digging through drawers, and finds an envelope full of pictures of tortured kids, bruised, burned, the whole thing. And in walks the nurse, Molly, and she's like, you got to get out of here. And Jordan is like, you need to help us. We also found out that Molly's new here. This is her first week at camp as well. So, but Jordan is like, you can't turn a blind eye to this. You need to help us, blah, blah, blah. And Molly's like, okay, just get back to your bunk. And then we get the janitor, who has a wonderful name, Balthazar. He set up cameras in the ladies' washroom and watches them shower. And then our masked killer shows up behind him while he's watching them and shoves his face through the computer screen, which I loved it. Mm-hmm. It was great. Later, the counselors are kind of back to a happier attitude. They were kind of really intense and mean earlier, but they separate the girls and the guys. The girls go bake a pie while the guys go shooting. Jordan is a great shot and beats Zane, one of the counselors, in a competition. And then Kevin Bacon starts monologuing how they need to focus on their biological instincts and that they need to shoot flesh, and asks the group, who's a killer? And then he tries to get Toby to shoot the dog, which was really sad. But
it is worth noting that the dog had cancer, and
yes,
they framed it as putting it out of its misery. Still not something I'd do, but it wasn't like he just said, hey, see that dog? Let's fucking kill it.
Yeah. No, you're right. They were putting it out of its misery. But Toby refused, so to end Toby's misery, Jordan takes the shot and kills the dog. While baking, Sarah flirts with Kim. Kim runs out, hooks up with Vanessa, who's one of the other girls. Not really that important. But then at the same time, Gabriel, who's one of the guys, seduces Stu, who is like this meathead jock who's a real jerk through most of the film, and leads him to this torture cabin.
Where they have sex.
Yes, where they have sex. Afterwards, Kevin Bacon and Zane walk in and they put Stu through electroshock therapy or aversion therapy.
Yeah, so they tie him to a chair, they strap like a car battery to him, and then they show him this like slideshow of like women in lingerie and then men in boxers, and every time a man's on the screen, it shocks him.
Which really wipes Zane out, and he's kind of knocked out, and they take him to the infirmary.
You mean Stu?
I did mean Stu, yes. Then Zane and Sarah have all of the kids' phones, and they're going through their pictures looking for sexy pics of the kids to help get them off, because they both went through this program and are lying, saying it worked. Mm-hmm. They're also engaged, and they try to get it on with each other while thinking about the kids when the masked killer shows up and slashes them.
I will say, you keep saying kids. They're like, the movie does a weird, like, makes
They're all like late teens.
Yeah, I got the sense that they were all 18, which I thought didn't fit with the movie. Like,
I think they're all in high school.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Jordan wants to become emancipated, but once you're 18, you basically are.
Yeah.
Like, your parents are no longer responsible for you.
But another character says, I thought once I turned 18, I'd be free.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
It's varied ages.
They take a moment to, like, make a comment that they're not, like, kids.
No, they're not young kids, just to be clear. They're all at least high school age from my perception.
I mean, they're all almost certainly played by, like, 25-year-old actors.
For sure. Right. So the killer comes in, though, and slashes Zane and Sarah and kills them with their axe. Gabriel is relaxing in the lake when the janitor's body floats to the surface, freaks him out. The killer is waiting for him at the shore and ties him to the chair and electrocutes him, which kills him because he's also covered in water still. We then get a shot of all of the counselors dead in the mess hall, and everyone starts to panic and says, let's get out of here. Molly, the nurse, takes charge, and she's like, all right, do this, get the bus, we're going to head out of here. And Kevin Bacon goes to his wife Cora and says, get 2 rifles, here's the keys. While she's trying to fumble with the lock, the killer comes in, takes her out. Then Jordan goes in, wondering what's taking so long getting these guns, sees that Cora's not there, but then hears footsteps, hides in the closet where Cora's body is, and Kevin Bacon pulls out a gun from his desk and is like, let's go, but then the killer walks in. The killer knocks the gun out of Kevin Bacon's hand and then reveals herself to be the nurse, Molly, but that's not her real name. Her real name is Angie Phelps. She was a camper, and it destroyed her life, and this is her revenge plot. They tussle. Jordan breaks out of the closet, grabs the gun, aims it at them, and then Angie is like, shoot him, you're strong enough, you can do this, and Jordan contemplates this, and then says, no, I'm strong enough not to shoot, but then Angie grabs Kevin Bacon and shoves him through the tusk of a boar head on the wall. It was a rhino. It shoves him through a rhino tusk that's hung on the wall.
There was a ton of taxidermied heads on the wall.
Very hunting cabin-esque. And then the police show up and take Angie away, and all the kids are just sitting out in front of the cabin, talking about what they're going to do next and how they need to live their best lives, and end credits.
Solid. Okay, so here are some of the facts about this movie. Fact number 1, there is not a lot of facts about this movie. IMDb has about 3, and they're really uninteresting. It's really just truly not worth knowing. This movie was directed by John Logan, who is gay, which isn't necessarily worth mentioning, except just that he had an insider knowledge of the LGBT community. He wasn't just some dude rolling up saying, I can tell you what this is like.
I would have been very upset if he was not a part of the community and just decided to write this. So.
It would have felt a little tasteless.
A little is an understatement.
Mm-hmm. So he wrote movies like Sweeney Todd, Skyfall, Spectre, and he has received 3 Academy Awards for screenwriting, 2 for Best Original Screenplay for Gladiator and Aviator, and 1 for Best Adapted Screenplay for Hugo.
Hugo's really good.
Yep. This movie has a 3.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Kevin Bacon stars as Owen Whistler, the camp owner, and you might know him from Footloose, Tremors, and a minor role in Friday the 13th, where he had sex and got murdered. So, Kevin Bacon also starred in will.i.am's video It's a New Day, which was released to celebrate Barack Obama's 2008 presidential win. Kevin Bacon and his wife, Kira Sedgwick, also lost part of their savings in the infamous Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. He was also in The Following, and that was just one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen. It's truly incredible. The Following, I like competent villains, which is why I like No Country for Old Men, is the main character was surviving by outsmarting the bad guy. The bad guy was really fucking smart. So it was like cat and mouse. They were really smart trying to avoid each other. The Following's the opposite. It's like a serial killer keeps screwing up, but the cops are so incompetent that they can't catch him. It's just hard to watch. Anyway, Jordan is played by Theo Germain, who is also non-binary and also uses they/them pronouns. And Toby is played by Austin Crute, who is openly gay. That's word for word how they describe him on his Wikipedia page, is he's openly gay.
Are you not going to talk about what else the main character's been in?
Jordan?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize what it was. Is it notable?
Well, he was in The Politician.
Oh.
It's a notable Netflix show.
No, I mean, I didn't even
Did decent well.
notice. The name didn't even speak to me as like a memorable thing. So Toby is played by Austin Crute, who's openly gay. It's mentioned on his Wikipedia page. And I thought this was notable. Toby had a guest appearance on the TV show Atlanta as, and I quote, Black Justin Bieber.
I'm sure that's just like a nickname they gave him offhand, and they were like, "That's how we're gonna classify him."
I don't know that. that might have been like a joke in the show where they're like, "Yeah, he's like the Black Justin Bieber."
Yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Anyway, so the guy who produced Bohemian Rhapsody, the Freddie Mercury biopic, wants to do one with Michael Jackson and have John Logan write the movie. With that, we are done with both the facts and the plot. And I think we're ready to get into our favorite segment, the good, the bad, and the spooky. Starting with the good. Dun, dun, dun.
How did we start referring to this as our favorite segment? It's our only
Yeah, this is the only part of the podcast. So, my favorite part of this, by the way, this is actually an insult when I'm listing as the good part of this movie. This is actually the bad. The concept of the movie, so slashers tend to follow the theme of punishing teenagers for having sex. And at its very core, that's what conversion camps are, is you're punishing kids for their sexual orientation. So it's right off the bat, it's fitting, both in like a physical location, a summer camp, and thematically. In the present day, it fits this 1980s era feel. So much of slashers is rooting for the killers to kill random people, which, isn't as psychopathic as it sounds. The kid, when I introduce a character and I say, "Hey, this is John, he's about to die," you're not going to form an emotional connection to John. You're going to be like, okay. So imagine how nice it would have been, like, with that happening to shitty people. And once they kill the counselors, you've established an emotional connection to the kids. Like, you start to wonder, is this movie just going to kill the counselors? So it's like what Scream did with Drew Barrymore, is you will unconsciously start to hope that these kids will survive. You'll root for them. And then it's just a slasher that you've successfully created good characters for, which is 90% of the battle.
I will say, I think the characters are pretty decent.
I didn't love them, but I'll get to that.
No, I agree with you on the theme, the idea of it and the theme. I thought it had a lot of potential in the idea. Poor execution.
Yeah, like the convergence camps literally isolate you, just like the slasher movie. Instead of literally being trapped at camp, these kids are like, their parents sent them there. So they might not literally be unable to leave, but they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
It just would have been so good. And
But
on top of that, the Molly's motive would have been great. She just, instead of killing just the counselors, if she killed everyone at a camp, same idea. No one would ever want to send their kids to a conversion camp again.
Right. I think it would have been more impactful if after she finished picking off the counselors, she started picking off the kids.
Absolutely.
And it would have also made a bigger it would have made a bigger statement in their universe. And like, if we watched a news story right now that said, oh, entire conversion camp dead, not just counselors of conversion camp dead, I would be absolutely shocked. Versus I hear counselors of conversion camp dead, I'm like, yeah, they deserved it. You know, it's a much better, much different response. But then also, even within the conversion camp, none of the kids are really physically harmed until they have sex. So it also still goes with your point of following the
Well, who is harmed, though? Isn't it just Stu?
It is just Stu.
Yeah, it's literally just Stu.
Yes, because he has sex with Gabriel.
Yeah, but the
girls were not, but that's because they didn't know about it.
I did like that wait, they didn't know about it. What the fuck does that mean?
Like the counselors didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
They would have been...
I thought the kids didn't know. Well, I'm like, what?
No, the counselors didn't know that they went off and did their thing. If they did, they would have gone through the same treatment.
Probably. I did really like the random sex scene that really fit with the slasher vibe of just like, oh boy, Kevin Bacon's having sex now. That's cool. That was a reference to Friday the 13th. He doesn't fuck in this movie,
I was going to say, did I miss something? No, usually I am anti-random nudity, but it really fit well. Like, conversion camp, first of all...
It's saying it doesn't work.
Right. I thought it was good. I am pro sex scenes in this movie.
The camera work was really good. It was very Wes Anderson, like a lot of just straight on shots, symmetrical frames, very colorful. It kind of becomes plain at times, but what's interesting is, and this might have just been him getting lazy or whatever, but the filming style changed as it became more of a slasher, which again, I don't believe was intentional.
No.
But there's one scene with the water, when Gabriel's floating in the water. He's wearing black shorts in a black tube, and the water's black. It's just, and he's so pale that it's just this beautiful image of like, he's very white skin.
It was stunning.
Yeah. And then the therapy scene was really great cinematography. It just cut close up right on their face. It was really intense. I liked it quite a bit.
I did too. Yeah, I agree with that. I will say I have some criticisms I'll bring up later.
What else did you like?
So the things that I like are less... Actually, I want to piggyback on your scenes talk. In the opening scene where it's really, really dark and you can't see the killer right away until she steps on her brake light, and you just get like a flash of the killer and then it stops. I really liked that.
I loved that.
I thought that was phenomenal, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. It really was like, yes, no. Yeah. Just immediately went downhill from there. It was so disappointing.
Because it was a pure red light, so it was spooky.
Oh, it was spooky. I was going to put it in my spooky section, but I thought it deserved better in the good. In my opinion. But other than that, mainly my goods are about some specific things. I couldn't think vaguely while doing the plot. Or generally.
I only have one or two general points left before we get into that.
Why don't you do those then, and then we can get specifics.
So I really like the symmetry of the movie. I don't know if you picked up on it, but when they led so there was the guys' cabin and the girls' cabin, and they both split up.
Yep.
There was, every time they sat down, it was like in a neat little circle. And when they split up to do target practice and pies, they were target shooting a target with an X in the bullseye, and they carved the pies so that it split to make an X thing. I don't know if there's any deeper theme to it, if it represents anything, but I thought it was neat.
Number one, I don't think so. Number two, I don't know if the shooting in the pie thing was intentional.
Maybe not.
I think that's just a really good coincidence. And they should take it for what it is, but I don't think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, maybe not. And then the music was pretty good. It didn't get in the way of the movie. It was pretty solid. It was quiet when it needed to be quiet. It was playing music when it should have been playing music.
For the most part, it was pretty good. Okay, so I know you have complaints about the characters, or you just don't really think about them that much.
I just thought they were okay. I don't disagree that you liked them, because I liked a couple of them, but
I think there are a few that stand out. I really liked Jordan. It was a good character. I really loved Toby. Thought Toby was phenomenal.
Funny.
He was funny. He was bordered on stereotypical, but I thought it was great.
If the director was straight, I would have called it stereotypical, but
yeah. And also, if the actor was straight, I also would have said that, but I think there's a lot of influence.
The fact that they were both gay to me says they probably drew upon
some shared experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought they used him as comic relief without making him the butt of the joke, which I really liked.
There was a scene where they were all talking about why they were here, and I think he opens and he goes, "My parents said if I came, they'd get me tickets to Moulin Rouge." And they're going in the circle, and everyone's like, "I just want to be normal." And it cuts back to him, and he goes, "I'm serious, front row seats." He's like, I almost spit out my cereal. I was like, "What?" Cuts to someone else. He's like, "Mulan."
It's just a very authentic performance.
Which, by the way, the director, John Logan, did the screenplay for the most recent Moulin Rouge.
Yes, he did. I think that's a little Easter egg to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was great. I really also liked Alexandra. The rest of them are fine. But one of the things I did like about the characters is like they were all the main ones you were sympathetic towards, which and maybe it's just because of the location of like the theme, and not the characters themselves. But I definitely was like, I didn't want any of these kids to die.
Well, at its core, it tapped in a pretty common feeling, which is, feeling a little unwanted, feeling like you let down your parents, just feeling lost. And you're still, it just, it tapped into something pretty universal. Yeah. So it was easy to root for them.
Yeah.
I liked the gay frat guy, personally. That's not really a archetype that shows up very often. I think it's funny.
I don't think it shows up in horror often. I think.
Yeah, maybe. I guess you're right.
There's not a few times, but that's also because I watched Glee.
Yeah.
So
don't he was a gay frat guy, but he was also like a little homophobic. Like
a little.
Yeah. When
they move Alexandra into the tent and he like gave her a hard time, I was like,
yeah.
What? You're all here for the same reason.
Also, like he said some homophobic things to Toby too.
Yeah, that's right.
I kind of liked that because it was clearly a homophobic gay guy hates himself.
Right.
That's just the natural progression
of his internal flaws.
So that's a really interesting archetype, I guess.
Okay. I really enjoyed the male cabin bonding scene where they all have the skincare and they're all like, "Oh, share." And then Stu, the jock, just is like, you know what he was thinking, and we're not going to say it, but he definitely was not happy to be there. What else? I really liked Balthazar and Gabriel's deaths. I was very pleased.
The cinematography of Balthazar's death was really good. They grabbed his head in a very like 80s slasher move, shoved his head into the TV, and as soon as his head hits it, it cuts to like just showing shots of his apartment, and it's to the sound of his head getting pushed in the TV over and over, and every time there's a thunk, it cuts. That was really good.
Yeah, it was. And I really enjoyed the last thing. I mean, I only have one more. I really enjoyed that Jordan didn't shoot Kevin Bacon and what the significance of what that was. I don't know.
I didn't have a problem with it. That's not what that look represents.
Okay. I just liked it because, you know, throughout the whole movie, it's shooting is presented as very masculine and whatnot, and it just breaks down the barrier and the stereotype of that, and the fact that they can embrace that they're not just masculine, they're not just feminine, they're both, and that they choose not to shoot and they choose to put the gun down. It really embraces kind of both sides of themselves.
I didn't really pick up on that. I do like that thematically, but it wasn't clear on that, so it was just kind of the classic superhero, like, no, I'm so strong, I don't need to kill the bad guy.
Well, especially since they said, I'm strong enough not to shoot.
Exactly.
And that, I think that ruined the moment. I think if they just put the gun down and said no.
Or if they threw back Kevin Bacon's line about how, you know, men are meant to kill. I think
if it came a little full circle, it would have been more impactful, but I picked up on kind of the duality of them not shooting. I really liked it.
What did you think of the cold open?
You know, I have mixed feelings. I liked certain aspects of it. I mean, I relate to the cold open because I've seen my future.
Okay.
And it is me driving a minivan listening to a gruesome audiobook.
Okay.
So
I was worried that you're going to tell me you've seen your future. I'm going to die the same way as this lady. The tarot cards told me.
No.
Because it's a very Scorpio thing to believe.
The tarot cards won't tell me when I'm going to die. Especially not like that. But I do see myself in a minivan listening to a gruesome horror movie, gruesome audiobook, you know, going, yeah, right, turning off the the radio, only to be killed.
I thought it was boring.
Yeah.
It was just run of the mill. But A, the brake light scene was great. And B, the explanation afterwards was outstanding.
Yes, it does come full circle.
Yeah, so at the end, what was her name? Molly?
Molly.
Yeah, Molly reveals
that she's Angie, and that Molly is actually the nurse in the car, and that she killed her to get to the camp.
From in the beginning.
The opening scene is Angie killing the real Molly.
It was pretty cool. I liked that.
It was a good full circle.
It was probably the best cold open I've seen in a while, that like it ties back into the plot.
In terms of it tying in, it's good. The other fact, for some reason, she's confronted by a deer face to face. That
was so stupid.
It was so dumb because all it was is so that you could look at her face, looking at the deer, and see the mask behind her. And it was like, you could do that without having a deer.
Yeah.
It was a waste of time.
So,
anything else?
Nope.
Great.
Are you ready to talk about the bad?
Absolutely.
One of the things, the worst part of this movie by far, and this is a little tenuous, it's mostly just a general complaint, is the camp. It's bizarre. Like,
it's so strange.
Everyone who went there clearly didn't want to be there, except for like 2 people who went willingly. And it seems really welcoming at first. Kevin Bacon goes on this whole speech about how it's the cool conversion camp, which the nature of that speech implies that they are coming in with notions that it's not going to be a good place.
Right.
So it's presupposing that a gay conversion camp is bad. So then there's a whole like montage of everyone having fun. And aside from them mistreating Alexandra, it really does look like fun. Like they're doing tug of war. They're singing perfect.
Doing typical camp activities.
Yeah. So, and that's like, it's like a decent amount of this movie. It's not a long movie.
No.
So
It's not a long movie. Felt like a long movie.
Yeah, so then it starts like to slowly shift to reveal like, oh, it's not as fun as it seems. And I was like, did you just try to convince me that this scary place was fun, but is actually scary? What is happening? And so it just keeps flipping between like, you should be going into the movie with the understanding that all camps are terrible, but also it's like it almost feels the need to convince you that it's terrible.
I wish it picked a side because it does flip-flop for a little bit too, of being like kind of cool, kind of good to kind of being bad and you know, stressing them out to going back to being good and fun and
just how, yeah, like back to what I was saying earlier, how great would it have been if this was right from the start, it was bad. We're rooting as the counselors get killed and the kids are like, oh my God, we're going to be free. And then the kids start getting killed and they're like, oh my God, this is a serial killer. Just killing everyone. By this point, we're attached to the kids.
I wouldn't mind a little bit of the disguise of that it's not such a bad place, and then immediately it's like, oh no, we effed up.
Yeah. The camp is like so bizarre because the guy, they really do imply that the kids check themselves in.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Bacon's like, I bet you're here, even if you're happy being gay, I bet you're here because I think deep down you don't feel happy. And, you know, maybe that's not your sexuality, but there's, you know, we're here to make you feel happy. And he's very much like, we're helping you because you want to be here. It's just bizarre. It wasn't well thought out.
No.
And then the aversion therapy scene was, to me, conceptually the weirdest part because it, like, happened. Like, that was what people would do.
Right.
So I'm just watching it like, this isn't horror. This is just, like, a shitty documentary about gay conversion camps. I'm like, it's fucked up, but I don't know. You don't... It'd be weird to make a horror movie about, like... I don't know. I guess they make horror movies about serial killers and stuff, but it's just weird to me when things actually happened and we're supposed to be afraid of it. Like, reality's scary. I'm not afraid of reality.
I think they could have done it in a way to make it scary. Or I think they should have treated it as something that's not scary.
Yeah.
They leaned on that to be part of the horror when in fact it's not horror because it's real and it's sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's frightening because it happens, not because it's horror. I completely agree with you. So one of the things I want to talk about is some of the lighting of the film. Specifically that there were quite a few scenes that were way too dark to see anything.
The opening scene, right?
The opening scene is one of them. I keep thinking it's my laptop that it's just too dark. And then I realized, no, it's the movie.
I thought it was my TV as well.
Yeah, the opening scene is so dark, but also the worst scene of the opening scene. The worst part. So the woman gets out of her car to check around. It's super dark. You can barely see what's going on. She gets back into her car, hears the scratch, and then looks in her side view mirror. The side view mirror never comes in focus and also is so super dark that you only know it's the side view mirror because logically you think, oh, it's looking in the side view mirror to see what's outside. Mm-hmm. It's not actually the side. You can't tell. Yeah. Because it's so dark and out of focus.
It's not just that it's dark. There's no contrast. Like, no. She's just, everything is just shades of dark. And so you can't even make out shapes.
Right.
You can't make out anything. It's just kind of shadowy things moving.
Right.
And then they play without a focus?
Exactly. Which, in contrast, when they do show the killer in the red light, it's so much more, it's so much sharper because of that. Mm-hmm. So I debate whether or not if the lighting was good throughout the whole scene, if that would have been as impactful as it was. Mm-hmm. So that's my kind of stance on that. But but I still liked the kid, reveal of that in the red light. But the opening scene just pissed me off so much in terms of darkness and shot and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, also slightly off topic, but still on topic. In the opening scene, when right before the killer crashes through her window to kill her, you can hear her heartbeat increasing, and
I didn't even notice it, and it pissed me off just hearing you describe it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. It was like, I just was like, oh man, you just ruined such a good shot with this headlight, backlight, that you're going to ruin it using fake heartbeat sound that's getting louder and faster as this killer is approaching. It was bad. It was awful, and I really pissed me off. So, and then in the ending scene, there was a couple other dark scenes that were not good either, but they're not as important. The end scene, they're also in the dark, but also it's daylight, so
it's a little bit better lit.
It's slightly better lit. It's still not good.
I could see things though.
Yes. And then,
oh my god, and they're wearing these black cloaks, so like
that's I don't know. But then also they tried to play with light with a flashlight, and it just was so bad. 3 out of 10, like not good. Ugh, I hated it.
The slasher portion of this movie was garbage.
It was so minimal.
Literally, we were 30 minutes from the end, and I was like, we've
only had one death so far. What is going on?
It was real bad. All the kills were like very just cheesy. And I say that for slashers are such a campy genre that the kills like are supposed to be cheesy. Like smashing the dude's head through a TV is just boring.
Listen, if you're gonna do cheesy, go camp. Go full. If you're gonna kill someone with a screwdriver, make sure the body winds down the screwdriver. Jason X. That's what I want. I don't want head smashing through TV. I want other stuff. But also, the last 20 minutes is where the most action happens, and it was the least notable.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
There's not much to talk about.
Kind of stopped taking notes at that point because I was like, all right, dead.
Yeah. The ending, like, first of all the deaths in the movie, I wish I made a scatter plot. It was like one early, another one, like an hour into the movie, and then like 4 within 5 minutes, and then 1 like a minute after that, and that was it. It was crazy how concentrated all the action was.
And I understand the purpose of not wanting to kill the kids, and so that the number of kills they had was limited.
But they burned through it.
They didn't. There was no tension to any of these kills. They weren't interesting. There was no even none of us had sympathy for this killer. I mean, for these counselors. But you could have created some tension. You could have created that they run off with the kids, and then you're like, oh, I don't want the kids to die, but I do want that guy to die. So like, what are they gonna do? Would have loved that better.
Yeah. The ending was also super lame.
It was so dull.
It was just them talking about how they're going to live their life to the fullest, and then they like walk off with happy music playing.
Get the Jordan looking off into the sun, smiling, and just being hopeful, which
so dumb.
It just was like it was cheesy in a bad way. It was not good. I mean, the other things there were some plot holes.
Were there?
I don't know if you noticed. Well, there was one major plot hole that I noticed, and I didn't.
Plot hole.
What?
Major plot hole.
I hate you. That really kind of annoyed me. So Angie/Molly is the killer.
Yep.
And she is outside with the kids. But we have Cora, who is inside getting the guns. Cora is attacked. I want to know by who. Because Molly was outside with the kids.
She goes, hey, kids, look that way for like 10 to 15 minutes.
There's no way. Molly did not leave those kids. So who is the other killer? And I don't want a sequel to find out.
Yeah. The plot twist, I think it was just the movie ignored physics, really.
Yeah, I think so too.
The plot twist was so bad. It just was like, it was Scooby-Doo-esque of like, here's this person that was in a scene once. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw that coming. It was like, the nurse...
I mean, it felt very on par with horror.
It's like...
It wasn't good. It just
slashers don't do that, though. Slashers aren't not
oh
my god, it was this the whole time.
I guess it's more on par with a thriller then. Because, like, I've seen that done many times before. I.e., the American Horror Story 1984. That's literally what happens. Okay. Which is a Jason Voorhees / Night Stalker / random other horror tropes horror show.
I'm intrigued.
It's very good. I would watch it. But they do have that this nurse killed the other nurse so she could be at the camp.
That was the only explanation I liked.
Yeah.
A plot twist should feel, looking back on it, you should feel stupid for not piecing it together. Like, I don't want to give away any plot twists as an example, but you should have been able to go, oh my god, of course it was the nurse. Like, she was the only person with access to the medicine or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, was I shocked that she was under the cloak? No. But did I think it was her the whole time? Also no. If I had to make a list of suspects, she was on the list. Because there was like 7 characters alive by the end. Fair. Yeah, but I mean,
and
she'd be like towards the top. Sure. Most of them were non-speaking roles. But the point was, like, I agree with you. It wasn't shocking. Mm-hmm. When I was watching, I was kind of like, ooh, I put it in my good. And then now looking, I'm like, it wasn't good. What am I doing? So I didn't share it.
She had this awful revenge line when she was talking to Kevin Bacon. She's like, what was it? What's the phrase of the camp?
Respect, renew, rejoice, pause, revenge.
I was like, ugh.
It was so bad. I didn't even write it down because I knew I wouldn't need to, but it was so bad.
It was really bad.
I mean, my other complaints about badness is really just like the anti-LGBTQ plus stuff they did because it's a conversion camp. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we need to mention it.
Yeah. The dialogue in general was really bad at times. Yeah. Like when she talked about, Alexandra?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Alexandra was talking about her younger brother, she was like, I can't even make it sound stupid enough. She just, like, explains why she's here in the most exposition speech way possible. It was so unnatural and really boring to listen to. At least Kevin Bacon in the beginning, I really thought he did a great job of holding the audience. Yeah. The entire, like, he would just...
His opening monologue was good.
Yeah, he held the audience. It was entertaining. She just kind of, like, read a paragraph.
Yeah. Actually, the other thing I didn't like about Molly specifically, when Alexandra goes to get her medication, she really puts up a lot of fight of, like, not giving it to her. And I feel like if I was in that position where I was secretly an ex-camper who was seeking revenge, I wouldn't have given that much of I would have been, you're not really supposed to give you these, but it'll be our secret. And I would have caved quickly. And I feel like she weirdly put up way too much of a fight for her character. And I'm just rethinking this now going, a little odd there.
I like that. So Alexandra put it in a Zoloft container, which is an antidepressant, to claim that, like, oh no, it's not estrogen, I need it for my depression. And Molly's like, this is pretty powerful for a teenager. And I'm like, Molly, where's your fucking medical degree? Like, are you speculating on something a psychiatrist diagnosed this woman with? Like, you can't just like, I don't know, I've met you for a couple minutes and you seem okay and these seem powerful. I'm like, if you want to say she doesn't need them, fucking have an appointment with her. You don't get to just speculate on this shit. It was just the stupidest thing, which tracks because she's not a nurse, but...
True, it does track that she's not a nurse, but I will say, like, I've seen nurses that do question doctors like that. My mom went and had hip surgery.
A nurse at a summer camp.
Right, fair. Yeah. Okay, fair. But no, my mom went and had hip surgery, and the doctor prescribed her, with justification, some pretty strong medication because she just had surgery. Mm-hmm. And as soon as like the nurse was like, oh, you're good. And mom was like, I need medication. Like, I'm in pain. And she's like, no. Mm-hmm. And then my mom went to the doctor after for like a check-in to see how the new hip was. And he was like, she like brought it up. She was like, I really didn't get enough medication. It's like, I prescribed you medication. She goes, yeah, the nurse decided not to give it to me. She felt I didn't need it. Mm-hmm. So,
well, yeah, but at hospitals, I would argue that it is partially the nurse's job to constantly be questioning doctors because they have a shitload of stuff on their plate, and sometimes it's worth having someone saying, "This seems like a lot." You wanna double check that, doctor?
But that's different than just making the executive decision.
Yeah.
But also, you're right. At a summer camp, it's a little bit wild for her to be questioning it as the fake nurse.
For a week, like.
Yeah. Right.
Really, you're gonna fix her brain chemistry in the next 5 days?
If anything, you're just gonna screw it up more. Mm-hmm. Which also, the fact that conversion camp is a week long.
Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, one of my notes is, I'm so bored.
Yeah, it was a boring movie.
The movie is pretty dull.
It was also super, like, on the nose. Yeah. Whenever they wanted to show a character as a creep, they're like, and he's got puppets in his house, and he watches girls shower. And whenever...
The puppets alone...
Yeah.
Would have done it. Watching the girl shower alone would have done it. His balding head with sparse hair.
Oh, that's just cruel.
Would have done it.
That's just cruel to say to our bald listeners.
No. Bald is fine. It's the sparseness of the long hair with the baldness.
You know what? I am picturing it now. That was
the whole look was not good.
Mm. Like they were, but like characters would go on these rants about how gay conversion was bad. It was just, there was no subtlety to any of it.
No.
And the worst offender was the perfect song. I understand its symbolism and importance, but it was...
Man, nothing like hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It
explicitly says what the song's about. So using that song is pretty obnoxiously like...
Okay. You know what
nose.
would have been better? If they kind of sang the song a little bit and then just laughed and hugged. No. The music kicked in and they really did a full rendition of the song.
Yep.
And it was featuring solo performances. Like it was, and then there was rapping, which was not good. The whole song montage was, I really wanted to just fast forward.
Yeah, it wasn't good to listen to.
It was the moment when the jock breaks down and becomes nice, but it just really pissed me off.
Yeah.
And it's also the end credit song, in case you missed the entire point of the movie.
Yeah. Any montages were terrible. I don't even have anything to elaborate on. They were just bad. And the jump scares in general were pretty weak.
Were there jump scares?
The moose.
You mean the one in the opening scene?
Yeah, there were some others, but they were just lame.
I didn't even realize they were jump scares. That's how bad they were.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, last thing. You can cut this out.
Okay.
But when they're shooting and they've all got these guns, no gun safety.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible.
It was so... At one point, they start arguing or they all just kind of like put their guns down, but no one knows what to do with it. So they're all just kind of like holding guns and like at weird angles. And I'm like, someone's gonna get shot. Like, Jordan clearly knew what they were doing, shot the rest of their ammo in the air to get rid of it before throwing the gun down.
Like,
True, but
you should never fire your gun unless you intend to destroy whatever it's pointing at.
Okay, fair, but also you shouldn't throw your gun with ammo in it.
Yeah.
All in all bad.
If Jordan really wanted to safely discharge that weapon, they should have, I don't know, I don't remember the verb, but when you...
Open it and let all the ammo fall out?
Yeah.
Also true. I think it was more just out of anger.
It's the lock part of lock and load.
Oh, yeah.
He should have...
Locked it up.
Yeah. I don't...
But,
I used to know that. I don't remember what...
I don't know. It's just the rest of them just holding their guns at weird angles. Yeah. In my head, I was like, they're going to shoot each other by accident. It's not going to be good.
Hollywood stresses me out so much whenever there's a gun on scene. Like... I'm a fucking Boy Scout, and I know this shit. They don't need, like, a Navy SEAL on set to tell them that their super cool Marine shouldn't be, like, waving his gun around with his finger on the trigger. It's just like, hey, pretty simple. Just don't point the gun at someone unless you plan to kill them. Don't put your finger on the trigger unless you plan to fire the gun.
Carter, that's way too easy.
It's pretty much it. And they're like, we can't figure it out.
It's way too easy, Carter. Yeah. Your thinking is wrong. Okay, that's my last complaint.
Anyway, Hollywood, hire me. I'm a Boy Scout.
Can teach you about gun safety.
Yeah. So are you ready to talk about the spooky?
Yeah.
Okay. The spooky! I think the spookiest part was the scene with the pie. That was like really just...
Where she's flirting with her?
Yeah, but she's like really aggressively flirting with her about the pie.
Yeah.
I'm frankly uncomfortable repeating some of the dialogue. She's talking about the pie, but she's also clearly talking about the girl, and she gets more and more explicit about it. And the girl's getting increasingly uncomfortable. At one point, the girl tries to leave, and she's like, we should try the pie. And the girl's like, I'm not hungry. And the woman's like, well, I am. And it just was really aggressive. It was well done. It made me super uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was well done, especially too as she runs out and she's standing there laughing. Mm-hmm. Really confused on her motivations there, but...
Well, just because she was gay, I guess.
I don't know.
And evil.
Evil, I think, is the right word. Yeah, it was not a good scene. I don't know. I didn't care. I wasn't spooked by it. It was just felt like adult intimidation that I was just like, ugh.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Most scenes in which an older adult is creeping on a younger person is done really poorly.
Say it correctly. It is preying.
Yes.
They are preying on the young person.
Yes. It usually isn't done very tastefully. This one was literally done tastefully. She eats a pie during the scene.
Kill me now. So, I mean, I know you felt like it wasn't scary, and I kind of agreed with you. I had put the aversion therapy on here because it was meant to be scary, but I really struggled finding scary things. That means I thought revisiting the conversion therapy as death in Gabriel's death, I thought was pretty spooky. I enjoyed it.
I guess so.
I also enjoyed when Balthazar's head popped up in the water.
That was good. I also have the brake light scene listed in my spooky.
Fair.
It was pretty spooky.
Which just tells you all you need to know. The scariest thing happens within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I've got a few lines picked out, but I want to hear what you have picked out for the Joseph Stastasio.
Well, usually I do overall first.
Oh, okay.
All right. So at its core, this was like a weird psychological horror movie that was meant to prove conversion camps were bad. But it started by like trying to convince us that a conversion camp wasn't bad. So it was this weird roller coaster. And also it showed things that actually happened at conversion camps, which, seems more documentary to me. The slasher portion was just thrown in like straight up at the end of the movie, and it was bad. Yeah,
my thing is that the scariest thing about this movie is the fact that conversion camps still exist, and that I was disappointed by the potential of this film, that it didn't meet, and I really was disappointed by the lack of build-up and drama.
So I'd like to hear your line suggestions before I reveal the Joseph Stastasio memorial line highlight.
I have 3 I picked out.
Okay,
I was very excited about that. From Kevin Bacon's monologue. I can't make you straight. I don't want to make you straight. Gay people are A-okay with me. Then Jordan, after that monologue, I use they, them pronouns, as in they can't believe they're in this fucking camp. But then the last one was my favorite. Step up, you pussies. Come on, stay close to mama. That was when Alexandra is leading all of the unimportant characters out of the camp.
Yeah.
What did you choose?
Those are pretty good. I like the first one. I wish I could have gone with the first one.
You can go with the first one. But the
Joseph Stastasio memorial line highlight is, it gets easier, when referring to Jordan, or Molly's trying to convince Jordan to shoot Kevin Bacon, and she tells him it gets easier, and it made me think of it gets better. So I don't know if it was intentional, but I think it was
purposely. I think that was purposeful. I'm surprised that you chose that quote.
I do. I don't always pick the
funny ones.
Yeah, sometimes I pick the ones that would otherwise be forgotten, just because we didn't feel the need to spend time talking about it.
It wasn't as impactful for me as it was for you. Mm-hmm. So I think that's also my stance on it, and that's why I was surprised. But are you ready for your rating?
I am.
Okay. 2 electrocutions.
Mm-hmm. I gave it 3 Kevin Bacon sex scenes from 1980.
Okay, and before we finish up, I do, because of this topic and how serious it is, this movie fails to reflect. I do want to highlight the Trevor Project, and just kind of give like a little nod to, for those of you who don't know what the Trevor Project is, it's a national help center for LGBTQ plus youth looking for help.
Never heard someone throw in an extra letter.
I don't know.
LGBT.
Yeah. I'm trying my best here. It's a lot of letters. So they offer resources, tools, counseling, and 24/7 hotline for those who may be struggling. Please consider making a donation. I will be sharing the link to donate to the Trevor Project on the Instagram, as well as making a $30 donation as well. If you have the ability to do so, we encourage you to. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have to say on that. It's a really important cause to support.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say that I apologize if anyone was upset by this. Ashley and I, or at least I'm not, I'll speak for myself, I'm not a member of the LGBT community, but I do consider myself an ally, and if I said anything offensive, it came from a place of ignorance, not hate. I'm a stupid boy.
I also am in the same place as Carter. Yeah. Anything I said came from lack of knowledge, rather than malice. Mm-hmm.
And you two are a stupid boy.
Yeah, I also am a stupid boy, yes. But feel free to send me a message to educate me, because I will. Although you can cut this out. I don't think we were disrespectful coming from a straight person's opinion.
I mean, yeah, I don't think I was listening. I don't think we misgendered anyone at any point.
And if we did, we corrected it very quickly and it'll be cut out.
So yeah, Trevor Project. So next week, are we done?
I think we're done.
Okay. Next week, we will be finally releasing Prom Night.
Oh, jeez.
And we probably give you the wrong movie in Prom Night. I think in Prom Night, just to give you some context, I think we said Velocipaster.
We did say Velocipaster. Okay.
That's going to be accurate, though. After Prom Night, we're going to be
That's
reviewing.
What we're going to be doing technically next week out of the time loop.
Unless another surprise birthday or movie is released.
I think we're good for now. Mm-hmm. There are some coming up, some newer ones, but we can take a break and do Velocipaster.
We'll cross that Velocibridge when we get to it. I
keep saying Velocipaster, like instead of Velocipaster. Living my best life.
That's gonna be one of our. I feel now that's gonna be one of our worst episodes in terms of being able to speak English.
Yeah.
Like the Velocipaster went to the store.
The Velocipaster went to the Velocistore to get Velocimilk. For the Veloci family.
I had to pause on the editing that Scooby-Doo esupped when you said suspect 4 times in like 5 seconds and 2 of them were correct. The suspect this was suspected to have suspect the suspect. I'm like, this could be my ringtone. No. Okay, so are we ready to sign off?
Oh yeah, thanks everyone for listening. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe. Also, feel free to give us a rating, give us a review. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, any other places you listen to your podcasts. And you can also find us on Instagram at Horror Sucks Podcast. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'm happy to talk to you. Also, shout out to our new listener who sent me a message this week. It made me really happy. And with that, thank you for listening and
stay spooky.
Horror Sucks is brought to you by Wild Thing Media. Music and production done by Ashley Atkins